All right, good evening. I want to welcome everybody to our fifth grade parent night. Sorry we're a couple minutes late. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty, which I don't think is all too surprising in 2021. I want to thank everybody for coming out. This is entitled Fifth Grade Parent Night. I want to call it Rising Sixth Grade Night, but Ms. Schultz won't let me because of the stigma attached to kids already being in middle school. So like she wants to give all the parents out there just a little more time for your child to be in elementary school. So we're sticking with fifth grade parent night, but in my heart, it's a rising sixth grade night. It should be a quick evening this evening. What we're really trying to do is just talk a little bit about Farragut Middle School, get you all kind of comfortable with what we do here as a school, let y'all experience and ask some questions. There will be a question and answer section in the presentation. There is a Q&A box that you can type in, and Ms. Schultz and myself will be able to look through those questions. We'll answer some questions at the end if we have time. If not, we will take those questions and put them into a Q&A, and we'll also post those on the website. A recording of this will also be posted on the website. So before we begin, I know everybody's watching the news. We'd like to send our thoughts and sympathy to the Austin East community during this just unthinkable, tragic time for them. So our thoughts go out to them as they are struggling through a very, very difficult time. So wanted to make sure we mention that in our Knox County Schools community. I know there's a lot of people hurting out there. So with that said, I'll introduce myself. I am Wes Edmonds. I'm the principal here at Farragut Middle School. I am finishing up my sixth year as the head principal. I've been here 8 total years. So your student's sixth grade year will be my 9th year here at Farragut Middle School. My 7th year as the head principal. I've been in education. That will be next year will be my 17th year in education. I've spent 16 of those years in the Farragut community before I came here to middle schools up at the high school. So, very, very strong bond here at the Farragut community, and just very proud to be the principal here at Farragut Middle School, the best middle school we have. Next on our list that we have to speak today is Ms. Schultz. So I'll throw it over to Ms. Schultz and let her introduce herself and tell you a little bit about her. Ms. Schultz. There you go.
Hi, my name is Marie Schultz. This is my 8th year at Farragut Middle School and my 25th year in education. I have loved every minute of being at Farragut. I am the 6th grade principal, which is where I spent most of my classroom teaching career. And I am also the curriculum principal. So you will interact with me your entire 3 years at Farragut when it comes to your student schedule. We also have 2 other assistant principals. Miss Hamlet is our 8th grade principal, who also works with student supports, and Mr. White, who is our 7th grade principal and works with testing. And then we have with us our 6th grade school counselor. I'm going to send it over to Miss Cormack.
Thank you, Miss Schultz. Good to be with you all tonight. So yes, currently I'm actually the 8th grade counselor, but I'm really excited next year transitioning, starting with 6th grade. And so I will be your student school counselor for the next 3 years. I think it's going to be a really great opportunity to get to know them well, get to know you all well and your families. And I've already seen some of the names. I know I have some siblings. I've previously had older siblings, so I'm just really excited to work with you all. Quick thing of, some of you may know what your school counselor can do for your student, but I also thought some of you may not know. So it's a really good time to let you guys know some of the supports that I will be able to provide for your student. So while your student is at Farragut Middle School, some of the ways that they might interact with me, maybe they need to come see me for individual counseling. And although I'm not a clinical mental health counselor, I'm trained in school counseling to work with students short-term through a variety of different things that they may be struggling with, or even if kids just want to come and talk about anything, my door is always open. We also do group counseling, so that looks different year to year based on the needs of our students, but some of the groups that we in the school counseling department have offered before, we've offered groups for students struggling with anxiety, or maybe there's a group of students that 6th grade is a big change, so organization can be a big thing where some students struggle with that more than others. So we're there to help provide organizational skills for them and help them stay motivated in their classes, things like that. And then grief groups. We've done a lot of different groups. So it just really depends on the needs of our students. They'll also get classroom lessons from me. So I'll cover topics like social emotional concerns, college and career readiness, academic skills. So lots of different varieties of classroom lessons as well. And then we also provide parental support. So maybe you have a need that your family has, or your student, they're going through a hard time, you need help getting resources for them, like community mental health, anything like that, I'm your go-to person. So that's about all I have. I'm there for you all any way that you need, and I'm excited to get to know your students and your family. And I'll turn it back over to Ms. Schultz.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Cormack. So again, Ms. Cormack will be moving from from 8th grade into 6th grade. And so she will be a great contact for you to know. Mr. Edmonds, if you will like to begin us on our journey into 6th grade, what should we expect?
All right, ready to get started. Really lucky to have Miss Cormack with us. Does a great job, and also lucky to have Miss Schultz working with 6th grade. If you all have the kids that came through here before, you all know how thorough she is, and all her attentions to a detail are very, very helpful and useful. So what to expect at Farragut Middle School? Great academics. Academics are always a focus here in our entire Farragut community, especially here at the middle school as well. It's also very important to us. We'll have great skilled teachers, a variety of activities. There's a lot going on. We talk a lot about how big Farragut Middle School is. We are a large middle school. We have a large amount of students. We're the largest middle school in Knox County Schools. But kind of how the school's set up, and we'll talk more about the pod structure a little bit more later. So it makes a little bit of a smaller kind of community school feel. Your child will be surrounded by a smaller group of teachers that are around them most of the day. And just can't say enough about our staff and how warm and welcoming they are, and how much they really, really care about children. So that's the biggest thing to expect. A lot of academics and a staff that's really going to work and look out for your student. So when I'll let Ms. Schultz talk a little bit about the academic portion. So we kind of transition into our next talk about the actual specifics of the academics. So Ms. Schultz.
Thank you. So I know this is going to sound scary, but please don't worry. The academics, because we're under secondary like high school, we only have 4 core academic classes. We have math, ELA, which is English Language Arts, science, and social studies. There are 2 levels of each of those classes. There is standard. Standard is the curriculum that a student in the grade level would be expected to take and master. This is what a 6th grade student should do. And then there's honors. Honors is a bit more rigorous. Your child will have additional content that they are required to cover and to master. The content could be additional curricular items, or the content could be more in-depth items. We have 2 related art classes in normal times, and next year we are very happy that we are going back to that schedule. So each day there are 2 45-minute related art classes. We have what we call the rotation or wheel classes, and those are classes that last for a quarter or 9 weeks. We also have extended classes. Extended classes last usually in 6th grade, it would be for the entire year, but sometimes it is for a semester. So a student is going to rotate through music, art, health, PE. We have intervention classes, keyboarding classes, enrichment classes, and we are very excited to announce a really wonderful yearbook class. And the yearbook class will be an incremental class where, as students are younger, they will get like an exploratory class, so that by 8th grade, the yearbook will be created and put together by our yearbook class. When we look at our fine arts, that music class selection, we have 4 different areas that we look at. We have band. Many of you are already familiar with that because you have already brought your student to school to try out different instruments. But we have band, orchestra, chorus, and as 8th grade students, chorus students can also select a musical theater class. That's for 8th grade. And then we have art. We are hoping that we will be able to offer an advanced art class in 6th grade this year. That is based on interest and staffing. But we do offer 2 different types of art classes. We offer a wheel art class, which is a traditional media art. And then we also offer a digital media art, where students are engaged in digital photography, using computer programming to create art or to manipulate art. And with that, I'm going to send this back over to Mr. Edmonds to talk a little about some of the other activities at school.
I want to let y'all know that before I move on to athletics, the band did tryouts last week and the week before for instruments, and they are still doing those. So if you have an interest in a band instrument and playing band, your child missed that, just email any of our band directors. We have 3 of them. They're located on our website. If you can't find that information, email myself, Ms. Schultz, Ms. Cormack. We'll be happy to get it to you. We have a very robust band program, and they're really accommodating to try to help your child out and get them involved in music and get them getting involved playing an instrument. So reach out to one of our 3 directors, and they will be happy to point you in the right directions, meet with you, and be able to get your child set up with a musical instrument. So with athletics, athletics in the middle school, there's a lot going on, but not a lot officially going on is probably the best way to phrase it. We have 3 official school sports, and by school sports, that means those are sports that are officially recognized by the county, supplements paid for by the county, and I hire those coaches. That's basketball, cheerleading, and track. We have boys and girls basketball, we have cheerleading, and then we have boys and girls track. We have a club sport. Dance is working on the transition back into a club sport. So we are hoping they're going to be a club sport for the 2021-2022 school year. Club sports kind of is a mixture of a hybrid between a school sport and a community sport. We have a school sponsor, and they have some of the school items associated with them, but they are also not sponsored by the district. So we do not pay for the coach. All other sports in middle school are going to be community sports. So really, there's about any other sport you can think of that's going to be available as a community sport. So we kind of say this, and it's like there's only 3 sports. That's not totally accurate, because there's all the community sports. And all a community sport is a sport that happens in our community, and it can carry the name Farragut, but I don't necessarily endorse it. So I don't regulate it. I have nothing to do with the coach or anything they do. So any other sport you can think of other than basketball, cheerleading, track, and dance are going to be community sports. I would list them, but there's so many of them. I'd leave somebody out, and I don't want to forget anybody. But those sports, we do advertise them at school. We'll put information on the counter. There's just a lot of opportunities to get involved in sports. Just because the school sports aren't there, there's just, if you name a sport, it most likely exists as a community sport for your student to participate in and get involved in at the school level. So keep that in mind. I know sometimes we see, that's such a narrow list. It feels very, very constricting, but it's not. There's just a lot out there. Both my students who are younger at play sports, neither of them are any good at the school sponsored sports. So they'll be playing community sports when they're at the middle school level as well. So it's just the nature of how it is. So whatever your kid's interested in, reach out. I'm sure there's a community sport with it. We also have an athletic director, Mr. Palmer. His information is available on our website under athletics. He can point you in the right directions. We don't always know who the coach is of a community sport because it's community sport, but we can typically get you in the right direction if you have a question. So please reach out. We want to help and get your kids involved. Clubs. Typically, we have a lot of clubs. With restrictions this year, we didn't really have any at all. A few of them met virtually, but not as robust of a club life as we normally have. Next year, we anticipate it going back, clubs at least, going back to being able to have some meetings outside of school. We've had chess club in the past, Teens for Christ, a math club, a Dungeons and Dragons club. a reading club. We had a movie club. There's a Frisbee golf club that people want to get started next year. Some froth action with that. So we are very excited to help facilitate that. So when your students move up here in 6th grade, it's hard for me to list what clubs we have because it kind of ebbs and flows. Like we had the most robust Pokemon club for about 3 years. We had a group of kids who started in 6th grade and were just really into it and had a really thriving Pokemon club going. That group of kids left after 8th grade, and there hasn't been another group to kind of come in and pick up that mantle. But there might be another club, another group of students interested. There might be one of your students as a 6th grader might be super interested in some item, and they might want to reach out there and get that started as a club. If they do, they just have to find a staff sponsor, do a little bit of a proposal where they kind of talk to the administration and we give them some of the parameters for it. We always want to stamp anything that we are doing and make sure we've communicated with the sponsor the expectations for it, and we can get that club rolling. So if there's something they're interested in, we really want to try to get them involved. You know, that's a big thing they'll hear when they get up to the high school, but we also want to bring them into that earlier in middle school as well. You know, it is a big middle school. There are a lot of people, but the cool part about being such a big middle school, we're pulling all right. And then the next part of this here. And I think Ms. Schultz is going to talk a little bit about academics.
Mr. Edmonds, we lost you for just a few minutes at the end of clubs. Did you want to go over student engagement first?
Yes. Let me switch back here. There we go. Once again, the live stream process is a challenging one at times. My computer cut out for a second, so appreciate y'all's understanding. If you're going to watch this later, we will edit all that out. Student engagement. Down the hill is an item that we have that is a pretty big deal. It's where students on pod groups can go down on like a field trip type of experience. Go down the hill, they eat lunch. It's like a reward trip. Pods also, in normal years, go on field trips. Now, we expect a lot of these items to return for the 2021-2022 school year. You know, nothing is in stone yet, but we are moving forward with some cautious optimism that we're going to get to do some of the things that we used to do in the past, pre-COVID. So I think that was pretty good. I think we've gone 39 minutes without mentioning the word COVID. So I think that was the first time we've said it. We've alluded to it, but that was the first time the words were said. That's not bad. Parties. We also do school dances, which are sometimes called socials, which is also code for boys play basketball in the gym, girls dance in the cafeteria, and students drink too much Coke and pizza and get sick. So we have the dances and socials that are a big event. We try to do those in the beginning. Once again, we hope those are going to be back. We do in-school basketball games where we bring the entire student body into the gym and they watch our basketball teams, boys and girls, play an opponent from another school. That's always a great time, just a ton of kids in the gym. We do a talent show at the end of the year. We do an awards day at the end of the year. We have Admirals Day, which is also known as Field Day. So those are some of the fun things, just a lot of fun things that go on in a typical school year at Farragut Middle School. We really try to get the kids engaged and do as much as we can with them. And let them have some fun experiences and build some memories in 6th grade, especially 6th grade, the pod, since it's in that pod structure and the teachers are closer to the kids, they're able to do a little bit more and they get a little bit more of those activities as those activities lessen a little bit as they transition to get a little older toward 8th grade. But we do have activities for our 7th and 8th graders as well. It's just not as robust as it is in 6th grade. So the next part, so I'll hand over to Ms. Schultz. She's going to talk about some of the more 9 to 5 components of being a 6th grader when it comes to academics and some of the other items.
Okay, so what is life like as a 6th grader? And I'm going to be very honest with you, having spent more time on this earth working with 6th graders than your 6th grader has been on this earth. I have found that as nervous as your children are, parents tend to be a little more nervous than their students. So rest assured, we are a large middle school, about 1,400 kids, little under that, but your child isn't in the middle of all those children. So we are divided into pods, which means that off of our major hallways, there's a small hallway, and in that small hallway, there are 4 classrooms, and that is where your child will spend most of their day. 4 core classes, 1 classroom for each student. Subject area. So I'm going to use the fuchsia pod, which doesn't exist, so that no pod can say I'm giving them free publicity. So if your child is in fuchsia pod, there will be 4 teachers: teacher A, teacher B, teacher C, teacher D. One will teach math, one will teach ELA, one will teach science, and one will teach social studies. And your child will rotate through those different classroom teachers' rooms and have their 4 academic classes. They'll have 2 related arts each day, and those 2 teachers will be in the related art sections of the building. That's when your child is going to really move from their pod down the major corridors and into different areas. So you will have a total of approximately 6 teachers. The kids have a break for lunch and they go to the cafeteria. 6th grade lunchtime starts around 11 o'clock and gets finished around 12:30ish. They have a recess time usually directly after that, and it comes around their 3rd period class. Could be shortly before it's over or right at the very end, depending on what pod they are in. Materials and drop-off. So as we are trying to create self-advocating students who are reliable and have a lot of responsibility, we also want to make sure that they are bringing their materials, their lunch, their Chromebooks, their chargers, everything they need. But we do understand that sometimes even the best of us forget things. What we have found during this time, as we are currently not accepting any type of drop-off items, is what a disruption drop-offs caused in the academic classrooms. So we will accept drop-offs, but they have to happen before 9 a.m. Most likely anything your child has left at home, if they don't have it by 9 o'clock, they've either borrowed another Chromebook from the library, or we've made arrangements for their lunch. Everything's taken care of. If you know that you are going to be checking your child out of school for a doctor appointment or for some reason, please send in a note. And then your student should come to the main office with that note first thing in the morning. And they will show that note to the office. We will sign it and stamp it with a dismissal time, and we will have your child ready for you in the main office 5 minutes prior to the time you say you are coming to check them out. That way you are expeditious in getting your child and making it to whatever appointment that you need to make it to. The question that most students are going to be asking about is lockers and locks. Currently, our plan will be to go back to normal. Lockers are located in the pods, and that's in the main area of the pods, and students will be assigned a locker. And our students do not generally need to share a locker, they get their own. We do have locks available for purchase and encourage you to purchase them from school. They cost $5, and they're super cute with a little Farragut anchor in the center. And one of the best parts about them is that when your student forgets their locker combination or can't seem to open their lock, one teacher in the pod has the master key, and they are able to unlock your child's lock, which alleviates a lot of anxiety and gets your child to class faster with all their materials and prevents us from having to cut locks off of the lockers. So we should have those ready for purchase as soon as school begins. If not, we get them very quickly. So would not buy a lock from the store. I would wait until we come back to school. The FMS virtual tour. Usually in the spring, students are able to come over to the school. We plan events for them, and they're able to tour the building and see what a pod looks like and get an idea of what the building is like. Unfortunately, we were not able to do that this spring, although we do anticipate having the orientation day in the fall. But for right now, while many of you are concerned about what's the building looks like, what does a pod really look like, where do we go for the cafeteria, where do we go for related arts, we have a wonderful video of a virtual tour. It is on the Farragut Middle School website, which is going to be your very best friend for the next several months at least. It was recorded, sorry, Mr. Edmonds, second time, prior to COVID. So when you see everyone happy because you can see their faces with no mask, it was recorded prior to our mask requirement and prior to the COVID pandemic. Mr. Edmonds, if you would like to start us off with our summer tour information.
No problem. Yeah, I'm glad Ms. Schultz mentioned that. It's kind of weird to watch that video that was recorded a couple springs ago, and it's so jarring to watch because there's so many people all huddled together in small spaces, the cafeterias, so many people. But it's an interesting look back. So when you watch it, don't all of a sudden get startled by it. But it will be a little kind of shocking to see at first. Summer tour information. We put on here if allowed. I see this happening. I don't think it's going to be something that's not going to happen. What we'll do is we put up a sign-up sheet on the Farragut Middle School website. I think the date we set for it is May 13th is when it will show up. And, a little piece of career day information as you are talking to your students about what they want to be when they grow up. And if they want to be a middle school principal, let them know that they have to work all summer. That was a very heartbreaking realization for my kids when they realized I don't get summers off. I'm here all day in the summer anyway, so we've always just kind of last 4 years, I think, we've been doing these. I do these tours in the summer. Since I'm here, shockingly, there's not as much work that needs to be done in the summer without 1,400 students and 100 staff members here for me. So I clear some time and just take small groups. It's usually 4 or 5, I think is the maximum number, and we just kind of go walking around the school. I'll show you all the pods and show the library and the gym and answer some questions. The school is, floors are getting waxed. There might be things in the hallway. It's not the most presentable time, but for us not to be able to do spring and some of the other things we do, this is something important we would like to do. So we'll really try to schedule more openings for that this summer. The only thing that might change it is the date time, because we are doing those summer bridge camps, and it looks like Farragut will be a host site for the summer bridge camp. So if that makes it tricky for me to have extra guests in the building, I might have to push them back till July. We usually do a few in June and then a few in July in between when I go on vacation. So if you're interested in that, if you're interested in me, you, your child, and 6 other people walking around the school and getting a tour, sign up for it. Sometimes it puts children at ease if they're unsure about it. Maybe it puts parent at ease. If you want to come see the pods and see what those look like, happy to do it. It's always a relatively positive experience. I'm dressed relatively casually in the summer, so don't hold that against me. So that's summer tour information. We'll put that on the website May 13th. We might have a better feel about when and what I can do and when we can have it in relation to summer bridge camps. So we're going to push that date back. But there will be a lot of slots. It typically does fill up though. So if it's something you're interested in, please try to do it sooner rather than later, because we do have to keep the number small anyway, because I don't want to, it's not the same to drag around a group of 12 people. So keep that in mind. That's on there. So what to look for this summer? Ms. Schultz has referenced it, the Farragut Middle School website. We put a lot of things on there. It's kind of our go-to communication tool now with everything that's going on. So keep a lookout for that. There's a separate Rising 6th grade link that I sent you guys some information on earlier in the spring. You can always link to that, and it will also take you to the registration link. So there's kind of 2 separate things going on. We're putting things on there for Rising 6th grade information and also some Rising 6th grade registration information. So you can really if you go to the Rising 6th grade, there's always a link in there to you for the registration if your question is registration based. Has everything on there. Later on in the summer, it has generic supply list now, but later on this summer, it'll have other information. We will add things as we go along. Make sure your Aspen is up to date and you are using Aspen. As a parent of an intermediate school and a primary school student, I unfortunately not the most robust parent Aspen user that I probably need to be. Don't tell Miss Adirante or Miss Bird that I said that. I check it every now and again, but you know, it's intermediate school and primary school, so there's not as much going on with their grades. In middle school, and now fourth and fifth grade is probably gonna be different for my kids. I have a third grader, so I'm sure it's gonna get wild here in a little bit. But in sixth grade, seventh grade, eighth grade, there's a lot of classes, a lot of assignments. Assignments have more weight. Parents often want to keep a closer look on it. So make sure you're working with Aspen. A little tip is get that Aspen Access early in June. If you're having some issues, put that help ticket in early, because there's really, I think, Michelle, I think there's 2 people for the entire district who answer help tickets for Aspen. So if you wait until the week that schedules are going to come out where everyone else is trying to get their Aspen straightened out, you're going to be frustrated because it's going to take a long time to get a response. So while school's winding down, I'd log on to Aspen if you haven't done it in a while and make sure everything's up and running and everything's good. And that will make your life a lot less stressful in July when schedules come out. Hitting schedules, and that's a moving target right now. Some of you have gotten everyone's gotten emails from our superintendent that we've had a change in the decision making about virtual learning based on some guidelines from the state. So what that delay has done is also kind of, theoretically, it hasn't pushed back our scheduling, but it's going to make our scheduling, we're going to be pushing really, really tight to get everything figured out in time. So I would be on the lookout for schedules to come out sometime in July, but there'll be more communication about that. You will get an Aspen email saying that it's been released. So, you know, don't feel like you're the only one that doesn't know about it. It'll all come out, and it'll all come out at the same time. So keep that in mind. Make sure you are ready with Aspen. That's a big thing.
And
so once you,
Mr. Edmonds, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I get this a lot, and I just want to make sure parents know. When Mr. Edmonds talked to you about make sure you can get in your Aspen account, and if you need to reach out to the IT help desk, make sure you do that. Make sure you do that once, either email or phone call, but only do it once. And it may take 2 weeks before they get back to you. But if you send in, I'm having a problem, and they get to you in the queue, and then they fix your problem, but meantime, you've called in or emailed again, when they get your name again, they will reset your account and you will be locked out again. So just do it once. One time is all it takes. You just have to be patient.
All right. Good tip. Yeah, it's a nuanced thing. So once you're here, we always want to give a shout out to our PTO. Can't say enough great things about our parent-teacher organization here at Farragut Middle School. Just does amazing things, and they've really tried to here recently keep parents in mind about your time and what middle school parents want to spend their time doing. And you know, you won't see a lot of things that involve a lot of parental time to help contribute back to the school. Oftentimes we just ask for a donation, you know, and we let you know where the donation's going, what it's going for. Right now, our big push is for Admiral Out, where we're building some usable outdoor space. I'm working on building a covered pavilion, refinishing some of the basketball courts. We've already done some things. There's a nice retaining wall. If you all have noticed that for at the intermediate school, when you're coming around the circle, there's not a bit, or if you're walking your child, well, if you're coming around the circle, there's used to be a pile of mulch that would just bleed off into the sidewalk, but now there's been a nice retaining wall built, and that was done with contributions from our PTO. And so we're going to build an outdoor pavilion for an outdoor classroom, an outdoor meeting area. That's kind of come up through some of the issues this year. Is we just need some more outdoor space. So PTO is amazing. So please get involved with them when they do fundraising efforts. that's a big thing. There isn't a lot of high pressure things that we put a lot of pressure on your kids and try to guilt trip them and they guilt trip you into doing stuff. We don't do that. So we're really just trying to get some support, make things easy on you. We're just so blessed to be in a community with such great support for schools. And so it's really, really nice to have a PTO the way we do and all they do for us. And they just do an incredible job supporting our teachers. The teachers here are incredible and they do a really, really good job. So that's a really quick and easy way to get involved is get involved with PTO. So be on the lookout for that. They always send some stuff home at the beginning of the year, and I'm always including stuff in emails about fundraising and other PTO events. So excited for them. I guess the next big thing are questions. So we've had a few questions that have been answered and are coming into the chat. We've answered some of those, so if you'd like to look in the published section of the chat, Ms. Cormack has been answering a lot of those questions. Additionally, if you have any questions, you can always email me. I'm very accessible through email, weston.emmons@knoxschools.org. Ms. Schultz is also always available and very, very thorough whenever you have questions, and Ms. Cormack. Ms. Cormack is currently our 8th grade counselor, so her duties won't pick up until your group comes around. So she'll be also trying to balance finishing up 8th grade and transitioning with you guys with 6th grade right now. But we're excited for that transition because that's hopefully should be the new dynamic that you'll have Ms. Cormack all the way through. So that should be a good experience and a good transition. Also on our website is we have a on the website under 6th grade parent night, there's a link to like a Google form where you can ask questions because we're here in the chat we're going to take any unanswered questions and we're going to publish like an FAQ under that of all of the unanswered questions that we didn't get to answer in the chat. You might have a very specific question that deals with your child and you don't want to publish it in a Q&A on a chat. So if that's the case, you can fill out the link and you can put specific information and that goes directly to Ms. Schultz, myself, and Ms. Cormack, I believe. So one of us will get to you and get to your get you an answer, and it'll be a very specific answer. Ms. Schultz, am I leaving anything out? Parents, you'll notice this is a trend. I always ask Ms. Schultz to make sure I haven't forgotten something.
No, Mr. Edmonds, you have covered everything. The only thing that, and it's been said many times, is I cannot stress enough the importance of looking to the website to answer questions and to get information. Please feel free to email all of us. We all have very open door policies. Right now at this time of year, I usually get back to you quickly, but if I take a day or two, please understand that 1,400 kids in a building and a school is a lot to do scheduling for, but I will get to your child's question or your question. And Mr. Edmonds, I think other than that, you have hit everything at least once.
Great. Also kind of looking at the chat, we had a question about an email list about announcements for band tryouts and summer tours are posted. The best place to go is our website for that information. We keep on harping on that, but there is a link up there for us summer tours. We will I can easily add the contact information for our band director so you can reach out and get that information very quickly if you have interest in band. With it being 1,400 students and 100 teachers, it's hard for us to be too specific, but you can reach that on our website. And so I think that about wraps it up. That's going to be it for our virtual parent night this evening. Once again, make sure to go to the website. There is a link there to ask questions. There are a couple questions on the chat. I know there was one question talking about official school enrollment registration. Something to always remember that if you live in Farragut Zone and are zoned for Farragut Middle School, there's nothing you need to do for your child to transition from FIS to FMS or from North Shore Elementary School to Farragut Middle School. If your student is on a transfer of some sort, you do have to reapply for that transfer every time you leave from one building to the next. So that also counts. So that's just something to keep in mind. We'll automatically roll a kid up. And so want to thank everybody for their evening. I'll thank Ms. Schultz and Ms. Cormack for helping us and taking some time out from their families to come with us and do this. Thank you all. It's one of our highest attended virtual parent nights we've had. So really want to thank everybody for taking their time. It's not our preferred method to do it. We like to do it in person, but we will work with the hand we've been dealt. And so make sure to go to the website if you have questions, fill out that survey. We really want to make you and your student as comfortable as possible. And if you'd like a tour, that link will go live May 13th. So thank you all. Have a great evening. Be careful. And we're excited to have you at Farragut Middle School. Thanks. Have a good night.